This happened just yesterday. To be honest, although I read this subreddit to creep myself out, I'm not really posting this for you guys to read. I'm posting it because I need to talk about it, even if no one's listening. Because I'm still scared and I need to let it out. And I thought this would be an appropriate place to do so. I know that I probably could have handled this better. That there were things that I should and shouldn't have done. But I don't really want to hear that. I already got some of that from my mum. It doesn't matter what I should have done, because it's already happened. I'm posting because I need an outlet to express how I feel. I'm a very small, weak woman, 5'6" and 118 pounds. I'm a university student who lives with my mum. I take my city subway system to and from school, and I've never had any problems with it before. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I have a class that ends at 7:15 p.m. I've never been concerned about it because the route from my classroom to the train station goes through a segment of downtown that is filled with high-class hotels, so it's very well lit and there's always police around. Not to mention that a lot of my classmates also ride the train and take the same route. But yesterday, I had to go to the bathroom after class, so by the time I got to the train station, all of my classmates had already left on their own trains. Part of me thinks that if I had just held it, my night would have gone so much better. I got to the train station and sat down on a bench to wait. I have these huge over-ear Bluetooth headphones, the kind that are also an accessory. Yesterday, I was just using them as earmuffs. I didn't have any music playing. But these are quality headphones, so outside sound is still pretty muffled even with them off. So I was sitting there with my headphones on, playing Pokemon on my 3DS, with a bulb man at the other end of the bench. Some guy walks up and wants to sit between us, so I scoot over without being asked, because that's just what you do. New guy starts talking to bold guy. I can't hear what they're saying because of the headphones. Then new guy turns and gives me this friendly pat on the back and says something to me. I pulled my headphones off one ear, because I thought he wanted something. This guy just kind of babbles at me. I couldn't really understand what he was saying, because I don't hear very well in the first place. Not enough to need aids, but enough that I talk loudly and a normal speaking voice sounds quiet to me. My standard thing for when this happens is to ask them to repeat themselves, or just kind of smile and nod, which is what I did. Then he finally speaks up more and asks my name, holds out his hand to shake. I say my name, and I go to shake his hand. Instead of shaking it, he pulls it up and kisses the back. That was when I knew that things weren't right. He starts asking me about myself. First about how old I am, then if I drink alcohol, then about my game and the progress Nintendo has made since putting it out, old game. He goes on about alcohol for a while, asking how much I drink and talking about how much he drinks. The whole time he's sitting so close and leaning over me, speaking very fast and in something between a mumble and a normal speaking voice. I was really uncomfortable, and over this guy's head I was giving panic looks to bold guy. I know he saw those looks. He would meet my eyes and then look away. Creepy guy asked me more stuff about what train stop I go to and where I live, which I avoid answering. He mentions that he needs to get off at one stop after Uptown Station, which is the station I need to get off at. For info, we were at Downtown Station. I live along the train line, and you can see my condo from Uptown Station. Like, literally. It's at the end of the road that Uptown Station is on, in a T formation. Between Downtown Station and Uptown Station, there are 5 other stations. My train comes, and I quickly go, "Well, this is my train, bye sir," and get the hell away from him and onto the train. I remember really hoping he wouldn't follow me. He didn't follow at first, so I didn't think he would be getting on the train. I sat down in a completely empty seat and put my bag on the seat next to me. The train has benches with 2 seats on each bench. If I had known that he would be getting on the train, I would have sat down next to one of the women on there and pretended that I knew her. Creepy guy got on right before the train left. Before he did, bold guy, who had sat down in front of me, smiled at me and said, "Don't worry, he's a weirdo, but he's harmless." I cannot tell you how pissed off I am at this fuckhead. Creepy guy may have been harmless to him, but I was terrified and looked to him for help multiple times throughout the train ride. And this bald-headed fuckwit would look me in the eye, acknowledge my fear, and then look away and make conversation with other men on the train. Fuck this guy. I hope he trips and falls face first into a cactus. Now this next part, I don't really have an explanation for. I know that this was dumb, but it's like I froze up and my southern-bred manners kicked in. The guy came onto the train and started looking around for me. I froze and thought, oh shit. He spotted me, walked up and said, "Caterine, can I sit next to you?" I wanted to say no so badly, but I couldn't speak, and my body just went into autopilot and moved my bag off the seat and onto my lap. I was trapped between him and the wall of the train. His entire body was just pressed up against me. There wasn't an inch of him that wasn't pressed against my side. I was just kind of frozen, facing straight forward and staring at my game. When he talked, he did it with our cheeks only an inch apart. He started mumbling and chattering at me again. I could barely understand him. He asked me about my game again, then got into weirder topics. He asked me if I listened to rap music, then congratulated me for saying no. Asked if I dated black guys, if I had a boyfriend, if I had a girlfriend. He asked if I lived alone, where I lived. I lied, obviously. And we got closer and closer to my stop. I got more and more scared. I was so scared he was going to follow me home. It's a straight shot from the station to my condo. You literally can't miss it. I was giving panic eyes to everyone in there. Men, women, out the window, anyone who would look at me. They all looked away. And creepy guys saw me give those looks. Multiple times. It just kind of confirmed to me that he had bad intentions. If a normal, albeit weird guy who was trying to make conversation with the girl saw her making panic eyes to people, they would realise something was up and that they were being creepy. But this guy just didn't give a damn. I don't know how I can properly express how terrified I was, guys. It all looked so clinical and factual written down, but this felt like life and death to me. He pulled dozens of folded up papers out of his pocket and started sorting through them. He picked one and started writing on it, all the while mumble chattering about racist Chinese ladies and racist bald guy. Meanwhile, my stop was coming up and I was still panicking. My stop comes and I stand up. He had his legs up so I couldn't get out. I very forcefully say, "Sir, this is my stop. I need to go." And he scrambles up out of the way. A billion more papers, a folded up notebook, and an unopened condom packet fell out of his pockets. I get to the door, the train comes to a stop, and my fears are proven true. He gathers up all his stuff and follows me out. Remember that he said the stop he needed was the one after the stop I get off at. I managed to text one-handed in my pocket and send "help, man following, Uptown Station" to my mum. She doesn't reply. I manage to turn on my headphones and connect them to my phone, again one-handed in my pocket, and call her. She doesn't reply. I'm nearly hyperventilating. I try to move fast enough to lose this guy since he's dropping his collection of stuff everywhere, but he gets himself organised and catches up to me before I reach the escalators. I've been continually calling my mum this whole time. Creepy guy follows me up the escalator and out of the gates. At this point, I stop. There was no way in hell I was going to go home and show this guy where I lived. He asked me which way I was going next. I sort of lied and said that I was waiting for my mum to come pick me up. He said that he would wait with me. I tried to convince him that it would be okay for him to leave, and he insisted on staying. At this point, I pull my phone out and was calling my mum publicly. He leans in super close again and says, "Ooh, Penny Caterine, I know her. Good looking lady, and starts going on about how he knows my mum and how pretty and nice she is, which is fucking bullshit. My mum is a high-class accountant who works for a massive scholarly organisation, and this guy is certainly not the type of person she comes in contact with. I give up on calling my mum. He gives me the paper he had been writing on. It had, assuming it was real, his full name, email address, and 2 phone numbers on it. He kept saying to call him if I wanted a job. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Then he pulls out another paper and pen and hands it to me. He asked me for my full name, email, and phone number. I gave him a fake number and handed it back. He said, no, your full name too. I told him, oh no, I'm sorry sir, my mum wouldn't be very happy if I gave that out. He starts trying to convince me that it would be okay. At this point I panic and shove the paper with the fake numbers at him and say, I'm sorry sir, I have to go. And just literally run the fuck away, down the stairs to the street. My mum finally calls me back. Her phone had been on silent. I was terrified and kept looking behind me to see if he was following me, because he started to when I started to run. Mum leaves the condo and runs towards the station, and we met in the middle. I have never been so relieved to see my mum. She brought me home and kept an eye out over her shoulder for the guy. I still have the paper with his supposed full name and contact info on. I just feel like I need to share the story, because I'm still scared. I had to go back to both these stations today, and I was terrified he would still be there. I was in flight or fight the whole walk to the station. He was a black guy wearing a baseball cap, and I feel terrible about this, but any time I saw a black guy wearing any kind of hat, I nearly jumped out of my skin. Thank God that wore off by the time I got to my class. But I'm still scared I'm going to encounter him again. I'm still on campus. I'm going to have to go back to those stations again today, and I'm so anxious that he'll be there. I just felt like I needed to talk about it so I wouldn't be scared anymore, you know? Thanks for listening, guys. I've been Lizzy Giggles. Subscribe now and like if you enjoyed the video. And remember, nervous giggles await.